And a good Friday to you here on STL Sports Central. All content brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours. This is Card Central 365, sponsored by Gray Bar. No Ryan Fagan today. Brenden Schaeffer in his place for this afternoon as the Cardinals head up to Milwaukee and face the Brewers for the first time in 3 months, getting set to for a 3-game series up there, and hopefully not have to witness a Milwaukee Brewers celebration up in their on their home field as well.
They really haven't played the Brewers since like mid-June, huh? Is that the last time?
I believe so, yeah.
I want to look it up and wonder what the heck the standings were at that time, because since then it seems like the Brewers have, I mean, they have a stranglehold now on the Central, and you mentioned it, that celebration is coming at some point. But that really wasn't the case, I don't think, back when the two sides played back in June. I'm pulling it up now. At that time,
if it was in
the Brewers,
June, so I mean, if it was in June, I mean, Cardinals probably would have just been hovering around 500. I'm sure we could go back and we could look at the schedule. Yeah, the whole time. I mean, just look at the standings and everything. I'd love to know.
Like, yeah, I got it.
Have they gotten below, like under 5 games under 500? They haven't gotten above 5 games over 500. Like, it's just been this mediocrity of the entire season of just kind of floating above ground, above water.
Yeah.
Right around there. Yeah.
That was a 4-game series between the Cardinals and Brewers, and the Brewers took 3 of 4 from June the 12th to the 15th. And at the end of that series on Sunday, June 15th, the Cardinals were 2 games above 500. The Brewers had surged up to 5 games above, but they were still trailing the Cubs by a good amount. They were like, Milwaukee was like 5.5 back of the Cubs even after that series against St. Louis. And now, the world has changed in the 3 months since. The Brewers are among the best teams in baseball, and they've got people pitching for them that Joe's never heard of, and they're like Cy Young candidates, and it's awesome. The Brewers are like the model franchise.
And they just there came a point in during the season where you wondered if they were going to lose a game the rest of the year.
Yeah,
multiple win streaks of a dozen more games, and it was madness. And I really enjoyed the other day listening to Claves and Stefan talking about this, just kind of looking ahead at the series, because at one point, Claves was even saying, you kind of look at that roster, you kind of look at them, you go, okay, Brewers are in front. Like, that makes sense. They got this guy. No, wait, they don't have that guy. No, well, they have this. No, they don't have that guy anymore. Like, you look at the all-stars that they have had recently, and I like to kind of bring up, and joke about the fact that at some point, the Cardinal devil magic that we heard so much about for so many of the early mid 2010s shifted over. But
they took it.
At no point, the Cardinals weren't going through a stretch where, I mean, the Brewers, they get, Burns, you let him go. And, you don't suffer from that. Woodruff hurt for an entire year. You don't suffer from that. Adames, you let him go. You don't suffer from that. And it's like the Cardinals weren't so much doing that. Like, they weren't getting rid of good players and replacing them with above average guys. Like, they just had no names, guys you never heard of, like a Steven Piscotty that would just go out there and suddenly be an above average player for a few years. And lead you to a postseason or help you to a 100-win team. And the Brewers aren't doing that. The Brewers are just kind of piecing it together, and with a great farm system and a manager that sure looks like he's a hell of a lot of fun to play for.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it all going on, and they really do. It's been a little bit of everything, because you can talk about the players from Milwaukee that have departed and the team hasn't missed a beat. Like, they traded Josh Hader a little bit before they had to. They traded Devin Williams a little bit before. And then, like, those things have not impacted them. You can look at their bullpen, and every year it seems like there will be guys that you are sure are like Madden create a player or something. Like, these people don't actually exist. And then you look it up, and they've got a 2.1 ERA, and they've got more than a strikeout per inning as a middle reliever. And you're like, oh, okay, that's just the next one that they've churned out. But then they also make moves where, like, even the moves that they're not even setting out to make end up going well for them. Aaron Savali says, I don't want to stay here if you're not going to let me start. And so they send him to Baseball Siberia on the south side of Chicago, and they get Andrew Vaughn, who comes in and performs better for them than he did when he was in Chicago. It's just like it never ends. Everything they touch seems to turn to gold. And yeah, it's like in Space Jam where the Monstars steal the talent from all the guys on the floor in the NBA game. It kind of feels like at some point it was transferred via, Mike's Secret Stuff or something like that, where now the Brewers get to have all the devil magic type of materials. Yeah.
The Andrew Vaughn stuff, that really is one of those where he is that perfect example of, let's, to bring, what John Mozeliak's kind of looks for in that buy low and hope you get the most out of it, that low hanging fruit type of player.
Is that the problem?
It's not though, but it's not though, but it happens so many times. More time. I mean, we mostly hear about it the other way around, where a guy goes and signs a big time free agent, contract somewhere else, and then just sucks, and then it's just terrible. And I think more times, more than not, you hear those type of stories, but you do see when you have good teams, like this is what though you need out of that. This is what's going to spark you into these long playoff pushes when you go and get a guy who was nothing. I mean, he was bad on a bad team. And,
right.
And you kind of, somebody saw something that they looked at it and they thought, hey, he's got some intangible that we might be able to use, and it just explodes.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's part of the problem, is that like Cardinals fans complain too much about Mo going after the low hanging fruit, like the quality type of low-hanging fruit where you can find a bargain bin deal, and then it's like, we get too much flack for that. We're not gonna do that kind of thing anymore. Although I don't think that really stands to reason when you think about the types of guys that have been brought in. Like Garrett Hampson's a good example. Mason Windew's mentioning he was released yesterday. Once he was DFA'd, I was like, I don't really, whatever happens to him he's not going to be back. So that part doesn't matter. We'll see about Brendan Donovan. I would think if that's going to happen today, there would be an announcement, maybe wondering about Arenado as well. I was checking the box scores from Springfield. Both gentlemen went over yesterday in their appearance with the Springfield Cardinals, Donovan and Arenado. I don't know how long they were slated to be down there. Donovan has already played a couple of games. Arenado only DH'd. So I don't know the extent to which, you're going to look to bring them back rather quickly, but we'll see about that. But yeah, it is amazing the way that the Brewers have done it. But, we're remiss not to mention, as much as we're talking about the Brewers, Joe, I put it here on your screen on YouTube. The Cardinals are surging toward a wild card because they picked up a half a game yesterday by virtue of being.
Yeah. Since Monday, they have picked up a half game in the wild card.
They're right there, baby. The Mets
can't win 0-3. They're 0-3.
Are the Mets going to be the final wild card, or are they going to legitimately blow this and it's going to be somebody else? Because the Cardinals are still 4 back, but there's other teams that are actually winning records and winning teams that could catch the Mets. Who do you think will be that final wild card if you had to guess today?
I think it's the Mets. Hang on to it. I think the Mets will, because who's in front right now? Who's in front of the Cardinals? Right? Is it just the Reds and Giants? I haven't looked at. I've told you, and I've said this for 3 weeks now. I'm checked out. I'm not letting them do this to me.
If the Cardinals had just won a game against the Mariners, you would be like, now wait a second.
No,
I'm done. Though.
I'm done. I'm done.
You're done now.
Until they are in that third wild card spot. Until they're in that third wild card spot, I'm not letting them hurt me anymore.
Well, no, now there's no reason to, because even though they're 4 games back, they aren't demonstrating any sort of want to get there. But if they had won a series over the Mariners, that would have been like, I don't know, 4 out of 5 series wins in a row. They had a little something going, and then they went out to the Pacific Northwest, and then they just, they fell flat on their faces. And it's not all that different from what we've seen all year. They win a couple, lose a couple, and they'll be around 500, maybe a little bit below. I'm just saying, if that series had gone differently, they could be sitting, the Reds are 74 and 72. They're a game and a half behind the Mets. The Giants are the same record, a game and a half behind the Mets. The Diamondbacks are a game ahead of the Cardinals, but they're also below 500. Like, if this last series had gone differently, we'd be talking about them differently. You wouldn't. You'd still think doesn't matter. But, like, it'd be like 2 games instead of 4.
Let me ask you, okay, so you and I have both talked about, that final weekend series up in Chicago, and we've both talked about, hey, if they're in contention, you're going to go up there for that. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
If they are 3 games out of the third wild card, are you going to consider that being in contention?
Probably not. They'd have to sweep the Cubs, and then the wild card team would then have to.
Exactly. No, I'm saying. I mean, technically, they could 2 games out.
Yeah.
If they're 2 games out, are you going up there?
Do you want to ask me if they're tied going into the weekend?
No, because I know that answer would be yes. Like
It's
I know
it's a no regardless. Because we found out something. Well, Joe, we found out something else after the fact. We found out a scheduling conflict that exists in Columbia, Missouri. That is homecoming weekend. It shouldn't be. Homecoming should never be in September, but it is. So the Cardinals are doing me a solid by playing themselves out of it, because now I don't even feel bad, right? I would have felt
chance
bad.
of Cardinals making the postseason or Mizzou losing to UMass at homecoming.
Cardinals making the postseason. Better chance of the Cardinals making the postseason. They're 4 games out. You make that joke. Last year, Mizzou had to go to Amherst, to UMass. And I'm always one of those
beautiful
proponents of college
foliage out there at that time. I mean,
beautiful foliage, they say. But I said, look, never go to a place like that, because it's just like you never know, the crowd's going to be fired. And then I saw the game. I saw that they had like 11 people there. And I was like, I was wrong. I shouldn't have even like in jest talked about Mizzou potentially losing that game. So no, they're going to be just fine. Cardinals have a much better chance to make the playoffs than Missouri does to lose that football game. Yeah.
So Cardinals and Brewers begin tonight. I'm on post game tonight that I don't believe you or I are on at all the rest of the weekend on any Cardinal.
There was some scheduling quandaries. I don't know if you filled them out, but I'm always kind of in the bullpen sometimes. I'm one of those that you got to Ollie, you show up to the ballpark and Ollie asks you, do you have an inning for me today? And sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't on the weekend. It's just hard telling.
I will say I am looking forward to seeing Jacob Mizorowski pitch on Sunday and checking that out as I flip back and forth between Red Zone and maybe a second screen Red Zone on one channel and this on the other. Yeah.
The wild card contending Cardinals, you owe them that much. You owe them your second screen.
It's not. No, it's mostly just to watch this phenom that is that was that made the All-Star game after throwing like 3 innings of Major League balls. So
there were 3 good innings. He looked good in those 3 innings.
Right. So I just kind of want to see what he is, see what he's all about. So that's that. As far as looking ahead to stuff, I will say I am interested in seeing how that looks this weekend.
What about Palante? What, you interested in seeing how he looks?
No, I'm not, because I don't think there's anything that Andre Palante can do poorly enough that will cost him going into spring training next year as one of the 5 starters.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know if I totally agree with that. Do you know what he's going to make next year in ARB2?
No.
It's like probably pushing $3 million. I think he's making a shade over 2 this year. Is there a point at which Chaim Bloom says, I can spend, if ownership is saying, hey, you got to spend $3 million either way, you can keep Palante or try to go fishing. I'm not saying I would do it that way. I think what the Cardinals should do is bring back Palante, sign 2 Palantes from free agency and hope that one of them hits, because you should come to spring training with 5 guys plus Leahy being stretched out and maybe another guy before you start talking about Quinn Matthews and Liam Doyle and those other guys, because we know it, man. They're going to get injured. This year, it wasn't the major league guys that got hurt, but it was the prospects that you thought could come up and take somebody's spot that were just not available for most of the season. And so the Palante thing is not a given to me as like he's going to be one of the 5, but it is starting to get up there in price a little bit. In ARB2, it'll be probably around $3 million.
And that's where you kind of go at it from that standpoint. I just look at it as we saw the Cardinals last year not do anything in free agency outside of Phil Maton.
Right.
And I don't see anybody within the organization that could fill in on that. Like, that's where I kind of look at it as where there's nobody in AAA. There's nobody that I look at right now that I'm like, hey, that guy's probably going to be fighting for a spot next year.
Not by April. Not by March and April. No.
Right. So that's what I just think, Andre Palante goes in with a starting spot. Now, how hot of a seat that is, how thin that line's going to be for him, I think that's a different story. That does, I think, live and die with every start that he has the remainder of the season and is under a microscope. But as far as his spot on the team, I just don't think that's in jeopardy. So that's one of those, that's why I don't really put much validity behind it. Like, Michaelis is gone. Okay, there's going to be one spot.
Could be more.
Yeah, so that's why I just think that Palante, it's hit. Like Palante would have to lose to 2 people then to lose his spot, and I just don't see that happening.
You don't think there's any possibility that they approach free agency a little bit differently? I'm not saying drastically, but like give me 3 Phil Matons and one of them maybe a starter. That sort of vibe, like in that price range.
I'd have to see a list of the free agencies out there that would be in that price range then for that.
That's Chaim Bloom's job. I can't do everything for him. He's going to find the names. You know,
we'll get you a sit down with him soon, and you guys can go over all of your the different tasks.
Our ideas. I'm sure he can't wait to hear from me on that one. By the way, you mama said 79 and 81. No, they'll get to play the whole 162. So it'll probably be 80 and 82. They'll get to play the extra 2 games at the end there.
It's been a while since we've had a rain out, so who knows?
Yeah, maybe get lucky. You play fewer. I don't know.
Whatever. That still doesn't get them to the 87. So
no, your bet is looking bleak. Can they still win 87? Do they have to win out to do it? Yeah, they're at 75.
I stopped again. Checked out. Stop looking at that.
No, this is it, baby. They got to rattle off 15 straight, or you're in the doghouse on that wager. They got to have them all tonight. It starts.
Oh, you know what? DraftKings, they gave me really, really good odds on it, and I took it and ran with it all the way back in March because I'm able to do that living over in Illinois. But Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when they go live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promotions. Brenden, as we wrap up this, I really think it was less than 5 minutes after Stefan and I signed off yesterday on the show, I saw a report from Hector Gomez that I wish I would have seen, which would have come across prior to that. Rumors of the Angels' next head coach, Albert Pujols.
Did you call him a head coach?
All right. Did I say head coach? I'm sorry, manager.
You really are in football mode. Wow. They call that something else in our sport.
Yeah. Heading up to Champaign-Urbana tomorrow. Looking forward to that.
No, you're not.
I am.
Who are they playing?
It's Western Michigan. They're playing tomorrow.
The Broncos, I believe.
Yeah.
You're going to that? Who do you think should get?
I'm going to go see a top 10 team play college football.
Who do you think should get the game day? Should it be the one at Indiana or the one in Columbia, Missouri, the following week?
I don't know yet. I don't think Mizzou gets it because they're going SEC today. I think they should have gone. I wish they would have waited, and they would have. I wish they would have gone down to Miami today or tomorrow for USF in Miami.
Well, but Miami's got a Florida game. That's an SEC game next week. SEC can get it every week. I mean, it's the best one.
I think you go to Indiana. If Indiana's undefeated, I think you go back there and you go, are they the darlings again?
No, they're playing Indiana State. They're nobody. Their coach scheduled a bunch of patsies and said we did it like the SEC does it, and that's not true. I know it's a baseball show, but that's going to drive me nuts if that's what happens. It's going to drive me insane.
But I really felt like this was going to pick up a lot more momentum. Albert Pujols possibly being the next manager of the Angels. I thought that was going to really start picking up and kind of make some waves, and it didn't.
So let's talk about that. Nobody else has reported it yet. Hector Gomez is usually pretty plugged in when it comes to, Latin American players, the news, that sort of thing. And so I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it is interesting. The situation as it stood was Ron Washington took a leave of absence. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
Was managing the
Yes.
Angels leave of absence. He was up there eating chicken wings though the next day, which I thought was kind of funny. But now it's since been announced he had some health issues that he is, no longer their manager this year. And I guess isn't going to be next year, so that the spot would be open. Yeah, man. I think there hasn't been reaction to it because people could believe that would happen, but they're also a little bit apprehensive about it because there are some that would say, well, I mean, gosh, if the Cardinals had an opening, you would love to see the Cardinals be able to choose from Albert, from Yachty, rather than kind of having, one go here and then say, well, if they want one of their former guys, it's got to be this one. I do not believe the Cardinals are going to have a managerial opening anytime soon. And so that's why, for me, it's like, if Albert wants a managing job, I think he's going to be a great big league manager. But he's got that great relationship with Artie Moreno and the Angels, and it makes sense. I kind of hope he does get the job because I think he deserves to be a big league manager. That's an ownership that's shown, they'll spend some money. I think Albert could do very well out there, honestly. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, Joe. But I would be for it. I would hope that it happens for Albert because I think he'd do a really good job.
Right now, he is set to be the manager of the Dominican Republic at the World Baseball Classic. So if he were to take that Angels job, he would be ineligible to manage the Dominican Republic. This whole story, apparently, according to Hector Gomez, was initially reported by Franklin Mirabal. So he's based out of the Dominican Republic. So that's just kind of where this is circulating. With that, just nothing is really kind of exploded on a national scene, and I was surprised by that I figured more places would pick up on it or tap into it, unless everybody is just the ones that tried, or just nobody's saying anything about it.
Or I think it might be too, it could be a respect thing a little bit. The season's still going on. There's an interim right now. Is it Miguel Cairo that was with the Angels, or is he somewhere else? I was trying to remember who their guy was. After Ron Washington stepped down.
Right.
I can find it for a second. But my point is, from Ray Montgomery. Now, where was Miguel Cairo? Anyway.
Miguel Cairo is the manager of the Nationals.
It's one of those things where, because they fired their guy. It's one of those things where it's September the 12th. There's still 3 weeks of a season to be played. A current guy has the job. And so if you're plugged in the, the Dominican Republic, and you might be able to get this information and you report it, information could be accurate, but it also might be a little bit of a bad look if you're Jeff Passan, where you could probably confirm that, but also maybe you wait, even if it is true, to kind of allow that process to play out. Because if Ray Montgomery is managing on the interim side, trying to say, maybe I can get the job, it would be a little bit of a downer to know it's a foregone conclusion. So that might be part of the reason that doesn't get reported. That's all speculation and tea leaf reading for me, Joe, because I don't know if Albert's going to be the manager for the Angels. But that's what I would think is the timing of it is a little bit odd, where you would expect to hear that after the Angels season ends. And then if it's going to happen, maybe it comes from more of those, stateside reporters that people look to for their baseball news at that point in time. That wouldn't necessarily shock me. I want it to be Albert because I think he deserves it. I was looking forward to Albert v. Yachty, though, in the World Baseball Classic, and so that would be a little bit of a downer if we don't get to see that. But that's kind of selfish because that's probably just one game if it happens, whereas Albert can manage the Angels for decades, or whatever. So that's kind of the rub on that one.
And and with all of that too, it would be interesting to see just how it kind of works out, because how does that play into the personal service contract deal, all of that with the Angels?
It doesn't. I mean, if he's hired to be the manager, the personal service was a way to pay him extra money without it being part of.
Does Artie Moreno just say, "Hey, you know what? This is your personal service to me. You're going to go manage the team now."
He's going to make more money than that
for the next 4 years. Yeah, to finish off your personal services to me. Now you have to go manage.
Artie's strapped for cash. He's like, I'm already paying him. Maybe he'll just do that job.
I mean, he's not sending his broadcast teams on the road, so it's
a good point. Maybe that was floated by Hector Gomez to see how Albert's camp would react. To say, by the way, you're getting paid the same, but it's going to be a little bit more on the job description next year. See you in February. Yeah, interesting.
All right, Cardinals and Brewers this weekend, and we will have post-game shows after each and every one of the games that you will watch. Not sure what the TV viewing is on all of these, if they're all FanDuel games or not. Not sure.
Saturday night might be a goofy one since it's a night game, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, but you have this evening, tomorrow night as well. And then Sunday afternoon, Cardinals and Brewers. First time since June that these two teams will face off. A chance to see the National League, not only it's National League leading Milwaukee Brewers
They're pretty
face
good.
off against the St. Louis Cardinals. For Brenden Schaeffer, I am Joe Roderick. This has been Card Central 365, powered by Gray Bar here on STL Sports Central. All content brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.